What's going on, guys? I'm Stimmings, and recently a brand new episode for the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime aired on TV. Episode 111, Arrival in Alola, Dripping Metal Panic, which it was a decent time watching the episode. So because of that, I've decided for today's video that I'll review this latest episode. Let me know in the comments down below for today's question of the day though, what you personally thought of this episode. I'd love to hear. With that intro now said though, let's jump right into this review. So the episode begins off with us discovering the bunch of Meltons that appeared towards the end of episode 109 of the boat back to Melemele Island, finding their way into some storeroom where they start to eat multiple metal, as that's how this Pokemon functions when it comes to eating. Which, I'm not gonna lie, that entire scene was actually kind of cute, which I never expected to say, as this Pokemon is literally metal. A nut. But anyway, after a bit of an accident, the Melton then find themselves in the Melemele Island sewers. And after a humorous scene of the Melton playing dead when meeting a Rattata, half of them go up to the surface and follow Team Rocket's James and Meowth as they were carrying multiple metal, which they hungered for. While meanwhile, the other half find themselves in the Ultra Guardian space and use the elevator to go up into the Pokemon school once Clefairy starts stomping on them in a hilarious way. Which, after Ash and his friends find that half the Meltons, they start to conduct research on how the Pokemon lives and functions for the remainder of the episode. Which I guess was a respectable plot, as these Pokemon are a new species. Side note though, this scene made me feel so uncomfortable, and that is because of very cool stuff I've seen online before. Regardless of that though, over at Team Rocket's end, once James and Meowth return back to their base, they realize that their metal disappeared, and even some of James's bottle cap collection, which of course was the work of the Melton that followed James and Meowth. Once finding the Melton who retreat in panic, Team Rocket chase after them to try and get revenge, but also to try and capture them due to never discovering this species before, which they didn't really get to do any of that, as Beware scared them away for Team Rocket and then took them back home with Stuffle just spanking me out for some odd reason, but that made me chuckle a little bit. Going back to Ash's end though, the Melton who were with him then call upon the other half of the Melton so they can regroup in the forest. However, luckily for our gang, who couldn't stop the Melton from running away, they got enough research to actually provide Professor Oak with towards the end of the episode. Which I didn't expect to see Professor Oak, but it makes sense and it was nice, I guess. However, unknowingly for Ash, one of the Meltons who sticked around with his Rowlet in the Pokemon school ended up home with him, which ends this simple episode off. So, with that story now said, let's now move on to my overall thoughts regarding this episode. To be honest, this is the most okay episode I've seen in a while. And by that, I mean it's not as great as other episodes we've previously gotten to watch this year. You can still find some enjoyment sprinkled throughout the episode, pretty much being everything as stated in the storytelling section. However, you would even find some other parts boring, overall making that adequate episode, along with the decent plot. Though, it's understandable why the plot wasn't anything too heavy, as it's just pretty much setting up for more exciting stories to come, such as the next episode. This being the start of what I assume will be the Melton arc, with possibly Team Skull getting involved, but messing up in their classic numbskull way. So we gotta remember that when coming to judge this episode overall. Regardless of that fact though, to be honest, there isn't really much else I could possibly say for this episode anyway, as that short description I provided, along with the storytelling section, speak for itself. And it's actually kind of hurting me inside, as somebody who loves to ramble on and on for around 50 minutes in a detailed way of why he loved an episode. But I knew if I didn't make this video at least, I'd be constantly asked what I thought about this episode. So here's your answer in some kind of fashion. It's a standard episode, satisfactory. And although that may be the case, I wouldn't recommend that you watch this episode if you haven't already, as there's no point wasting your time with it when short descriptions like this perfectly describe the episode. In my eyes, at least. However, if you have watched this episode, then do let me know in the comments down below what you personally thought of this episode though. I'd love to hear. And it could even help out somebody watching who wanted more of an answer of whether this episode was good or bad. Oh god, it really does hurt me not to make a more detailed review. But it's inevitable that this would happen at times, as not every episode can be worth talking about. But before I do sign off, I do at least want to give an update on my Ash catching Melton theory, as I know many people would want to hear that as well. So, firstly, seeing as the next episode preview shows Melton and Rowlet developing a bond, it makes me think that Melton will want to say goodbye to Rowlet when it finds his Melton friends again, or when they go to it. Which I think we've seen something like that before in the anime anyway. So that of course could allude to Ash capturing this mythical Pokemon. Regardless of that preview as well, we do have the fact that Ash has the Steelanium Z, which would be weird if he only used it for Pikachu, especially when he has 3 other Z moves he could possibly use for Pikachu. One of them of course randomly appearing though. And finally, even the title for the next episode includes Get Melton, which might allude to a capture. But then again, the main focus for that episode, thanks to the summary releasing recently, is Team Rocket trying to capture Melton for their schemes. So that could be what the title is on about. But the other hints stand strongly at the moment. But yeah, that concludes all the new hints. We just gotta wait and see within the next episode if it actually happens or not. But hey, if it doesn't happen, just remember that all of these hints were just theories we've conducted in our head. Nothing was confirmed to begin with. You could probably tell I'm trying not to make people as salty as they were when Ash didn't catch Eevee when we thought he would. But with that said, I can now finish off this video. So, if you at least appreciated the fact that I went out of my way to provide some of my thoughts on this episode, along with a little theory towards the end, then please be sure to consider leaving a like, a share, and if you're new here, a subscribe along with it to that bell icon to stay in loop with all things Pokemon anime related. If you want to support this channel any further way, I also have a Patreon. Thank you for watching everybody, this is Ernst Maze, signing out.